As the chair of the REACH committee, I want to welcome all who are joining us tonight, both virtually and in person, who may be at the national banquet. Tonight, we are here to celebrate the SWKKF and the legacy of Sensei Shintani. The Shintani Wado Federation aims to be the premier traditional karate and Shindo organization in North America. This can only be accomplished through the work of our highly skilled and dedicated instructors in developing unparalleled character, skill, and pride in our karate students. Our members are the backbone of the SWKKF. Without their spirit of generosity, care, and dedication, the SWKKF would not and will not survive. It is important to recognize our generous members who embody the SWKKF core values of honor, excellence, community, kindness, and humility. As we begin, it is my honor to introduce SWKKF President Sensei Dennis LeBay. Sensei Dennis is a 9th Dan and started his karate journey as a student of Sensei Shintani in 1972 in Welland, Ontario. In June of 1997, Sensei Shintani formed the SWKKF Senate. Sensei Dennis held the position of Secretary General for 10 years. In May of 2000, Sensei Shintani passed away, and Sensei Dennis became the successor as president of the SWKKF. Sensei Dennis continues to train, teach seminars, and attend tournaments and black belt gradings across Canada. Please join me in welcoming Sensei Dennis LeBay.
On behalf of the SWKKF Senate, the Tournament Committee, and the REACH Committee, I would like to welcome all of you to our 7th Annual REACH Award and Post-Tournament Celebration. I would like to thank all of the instructors, karateka, judges, and parents for an amazing day at our Shintani Memorial National Tournament. And a special thank you to our volunteers who worked so hard to pull together this week's event as we celebrate together.
Thank you, Sensei Dennis. We previously mentioned our SWKK core values of honor, excellence, community, kindness, and humility. This past year has seen growth throughout the SWKKF. Our clubs are stronger and they're thriving in their communities. Tournament attendance is up and there have been some amazing clinics being offered across the country. The energy certainly carried over into today's tournament. Now, a highlight for me. Over the past couple of years, we have been profiling senior black belts, many of whom had direct instruction from Sensei Shintani. To kick off one of these interviews, we asked Sensei Bruce Perkins, who is also one of our Senate members, to share a few thoughts and reflections on the early years of his karate. Sensei Bruce began his career in Wawa, Ontario in 1974 under the instruction of Sensei Danny McCoy, Sensei Rick Levier, and Sensei Luigi Travarello. In 1979, Sensei Bruce moved to Southern Ontario, where he continued his training under Sensei Shintani. In July 1979, he was graded to Shodan. Sensei Bruce currently resides in Simcoe, Ontario with his wife Irene. His sons Dustin and Derek live in Western Canada. Let's listen in to what Sensei Bruce has to say.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bruce Perkins. I'm with the Simcoe South Waterpack Karate Club, and I started my karate in Wawa back in 1974. My journey began with Senseis Rick Levier, Luigi Travarello, and Sensei Danny McCoy. I was very fortunate enough to have experienced a lot of, well, they call it bush karate, but a lot of different approaches to karate. It helped mold me and make me into who I am today, which, right, wrong, or indifferent, I guess, is what you got. Back to Simcoe, I moved in 79, and I got my Shodan there with Sensei Shintani. From there, things just evolved, and I moved down south. I was fortunate enough to spend time with Sensei and traveled with him a few times. I was very lucky to have some one-on-one time with him. I was fortunate enough to be picked as one of the original Senate members and have been active on that ever since. If you mention Sensei, the very first thing that I have to mention was his love for his mother. anybody that knew Sensei knew how much he cared for his mother and how much she had influenced his life. And he always, always, always spoke so highly of her. And he spoke of Otsuka Sensei and his mother usually in the same sentence. So that's one of the first things that people should know is how caring he was for her. The second part is what an honorable man he was. He was very soft, but when it came to things dealing with honor, he could have a very hard side to him. He was no nonsense type of guy. He wanted everybody to be treated with respect. He wanted everybody to be treated the same. Man, woman, handicapped, disadvantaged, it didn't matter. He wanted them treated fair, and he made sure they got treated fair. One example of that was after a tournament in Fort Erie. And he sat us all down and he was walking around and he was talking about the tournament. Back in the day when we used to have the 5 judges lined up across the front, he made a comment that one of the people performing their katas was up there doing their katas. And he says 3 of the judges were talking. They were looking at each other. They weren't even watching the person doing the kata. At the end, he said they gave him a score. They gave the individual a score. Sensei's approach on that was, first of all, he said how dishonest they were. Because how could you put up a score for something you didn't even watch? The other part of that was the disrespect they were showing for that person that was doing the kata. And he made reference to how hard they must have worked to get to the point where they could perform their kata and how many hours of practice and everything else that it took. And he made a comment. He says, I don't have any room in my organization for people like that. He says, I don't want them in my organization. And as he was walking toward the front of the class, he stopped and he turned around, he looked at us, he said, and just in case anybody's interested, he said that person performing their kata was handicapped. And you could have heard a pin drop in that gym. And it was one of those moments where you realized like how much he watched and observed and cared for each and every individual that was in his organization and on the floor. Another one, this was a personal teaching lesson, actually a couple. At the black belt tournament in Fort Erie we had. I just won the kumite part of it and doing the kata. And Sensei walked up to me and he says, are you doing kata today, Bruce? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, I hate kata, Sensei. He goes, oh, okay. And he looked at me, he says, what are you going to do when you're 50, Bruce? Tell people you used to be a good fighter. And he walked away. It was one of those moments where I got hit right between the eyes, and guess who started practicing kata the next class? Another time I was traveling with them, I had my little notebook. I didn't know if I was going to have to teach or what, but I had everything broken down into 2 and 3 minute sections. Sensei sitting beside me, and he says, what are you doing? I said, it's just my notes, Sensei, if I have to teach. Don't you take notes? He goes, don't be silly, Bruce. He said, at your rank, he said, you should be able to run them through Pinan Shodan and get enough information out of there to run an 8-hour clinic. So I just closed up my notebook and I never opened it since. So, and I find if you teach from a notebook, you're teaching from yourself, for yourself. If you watch and observe a class and you decide what that class needs, if you can analyze what they're doing and what they're lacking, okay, now you're teaching for the group. I was very honored and lucky to have known Sensei, to have experienced some one-on-one travel time with Sensei. I eulogized my dad and my dad's celebration of life. And one of the comments I made there was 2 people that I respected in my life. And one was my dad and one was Sensei Shintani. And one of my friends came up to me after and asked me, he said, what made your dad and Mr. Shintani so special? And I said, no matter what the situation, you could always depend on them doing the right thing, no matter what. And again, I want to reiterate how lucky I was and how happy I am with the journey I've had with the SWKKF and especially with Sensei Shintani and his guidance. It's helped shape me into the person that I am and helped me a lot in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sensei Bruce, for sharing your insights. Now for our first REACH Award. REACH stands for Recognizing Extraordinary Achievement, Contribution, and Hard Work. Members are invited to nominate under 5 categories: leadership, contributor, ambassador, and male and female athlete category. We thank those who took the time to send their nominations, and many thanks to those who sat on the selection committee for going through these nominations. Sensei Dennis LeBay will present this year's award recipients for our 7th annual Reach Awards. Let's start with the Leadership Award. The Leadership Award recognizes an individual who demonstrates outstanding leadership and effective mentorship within the SWKKF.
This year's recipient was described as kind, patient, driven, and cooperative with a wealth of knowledge. They work hard on and off the floor. As one karateka reflected, I walked into a provincial karate meeting. I was the new guy. This sensei turned, smiled, and came up to introduce themselves and chat. It was done in just the right way. This person was excellent manners and respect for others, no matter who they are or think they are. This is the basis for an outstanding karateka and leader who is able to draw instant respect and likability. This sensei runs a very large club, producing many black belts. Their karatekas are strong competitors and are fun to compete with. The sensei volunteers as a chair of the provincial representative and mentors and lives in Alberta. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Bill Hines as this year's Leadership Award recipient.
Congratulations, Sensei Bill, for all that you bring to the SWKKF organization. Our second reflection video is from Sensei Shelley McGregor. Sensei Shelley McGregor lives in Whitecourt, Alberta, with her husband Grant. They have 4 adult children, 3 that live in Edmonton, and 1 that lives in Cologne, Germany. She was lucky enough to raise her children as a stay-home mom and looks forward to having grandchildren, with her first one due in October. She grew up in Edson and started taking karate in grade 11 under Sensei Danny McCoy. Sensei McCoy always emphasized the importance of good basics, tai sabaki, use of multipliers, and fight with the intention of striking with one blow as if you were protecting your family. She still enjoys being active on the floor as a student and an instructor and looks forward to many more years of training. Please join me as we listen to Sensei Shelley's reflections on her early years of karate.
Hi everyone, my name is Shelley McGregor. I live in Whitecourt, Alberta. My husband's name is Grant and I have 4 terrific children, Brandon, Cameron, Connor, and Chantel, and my first grandchild is on the way. My karate journey started 37 years ago in Edson under the guidance of Sensei Danny McCoy. In 1992, I received the rank of Shodan, and in June of 2019 was presented Rokudan by the Senate, and in December of 2022 was appointed to the Senate. In 1992, while living in Edson, I also joined the local Taekwondo club with a fellow Shintani black belt. Luckily, the instructor set me up on a blind date with one of his good friends, which a couple years later became my husband. We often lose our female members once they start to have children. Thankfully, my husband and my family always encouraged and supported me. 2 of my children were able to accomplish their black belts in this organization. Being able to do the same sport as your children is a huge reward, and I love to see when parents and children are in karate together. The Whitecourt Club was first established in the mid-90s by Janet Baglow. I took over as head instructor when she moved. I am very thankful that she started the club and got a hold of me, because I could not imagine not being a part of this amazing organization. And I have developed many close friendships throughout the organization, and I'm extremely grateful for them all. My first encounter with Hanshi Shintani was when I was a green belt and he came to visit the Edson dojo. As a teenager, my first impression was that I was very intrigued about how highly he spoke of Otsuka Sensei. He had so much respect when he talked about him, and that really left an imprint on me, and how important respecting your sensei is, but also the pure gratitude and affection he had for him and his teaching was really cool. I think just as we looked at Hanshi Shintani and how he left these impressions on us, we need to be mindful on how we impact the next generation of students. We need to be conscious of our attitude, our actions, and really try to be a positive influence. My favorite memory of Hanshi Shintani was at an Edmonton event, and he was teaching Shuto Uki. And he was moving up and down the aisles, giving feedback and affirmations to all the students. It was a huge turnout. There was a lot of people there. And to me, this was his way of connecting to all the members of this big group. I also remember that he was very soft-spoken and calm, but in an instant, he could flip that switch. He had incredible fast, quick twitch muscles, just like a young person. And I can only think that he had this because of the way he trained his technique to be instinctual. He was humble and kind. And as a leader, he didn't need to be loud or have this great big boisterous personality. People listened to him because of his presence. And I think overall, we must treat people with kindness and they will treat you with kindness back. Give respect and you will be respected. My wow moment was when he introduced the Shindo to us. And I could not believe that he created the movements and the vision behind it. It was astonishing to me. My favorite technique Hanshi Shintani showed is the double blocking, a soto followed by Uryuki. And I still use this today as a female. This is a very strong technique, especially against stronger male competitors. If I was to name one thing about Hanshi Shintani to be remembered for, it would be for his character. As a leader and a master of the style, people may be drawn initially to your awesomeness of your karate, but ultimately they will stay and follow you because of who you are. He was soft-spoken and kind-hearted, and these are some of the first qualities, even beyond his power and precision of technique, that people who were close to him speak about. We should ask ourselves, how do we want to be remembered, and follow that? We must preserve the teachings that have been handed to us. We need to be respectful of his memory and the organization that he started. He deserves to be honored and, when possible, to teach with his presence in mind. Keep training, just not teach, and continue your practice. In closing, as an organization, we need to keep improving our knowledge to make the next generation better than we are. In order to keep getting better, we need to share information, expand our knowledge, and not be afraid of a little change. There are so many people in this organization that contribute to its success. I would also like to give a huge shout out to all of our volunteers and membership for their continued dedication to the Shintani Wado Karate Federation, and give a final acknowledgement to the direct students of Hanshi Shintani, those that are here, and to the memory of those we have lost. Thank you for all you have done for us.
Thank you, Sensei Shelley, for sharing these wonderful stories and reflections. Our second award of the evening is the Ambassador Award. This award recognizes an individual with strong, positive voice who advocates, raises awareness, or enhances the image of the SWKKF in the greater community.
This year's recipient is very involved in their local community so that the public can see what Shintani Wado Karate is all about. They have demonstrated safety techniques as well as kata, kumite, and shindo at these events. They are part of the National Tournament Committee and have held fundraisers to help karate students attend tournaments when they could not afford it on their own. In and out of the SWKKF, they are the first to volunteer and the last to leave. This person's contribution and viewed is that if you put everything into something, you will get everything you want out of it. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Brandon Marks as this year's Ambassador Award recipient.
Congratulations, Sensei Brandon. The Male and Female Athlete Award recognizes an individual who excels as a karateka through their dedication to training, attending tournaments, and clinic opportunities and achieving excellence as a result of this dedication.
This year's female athlete's dedication to karate extends beyond her personal achievements as she actively participates in tournaments and the Shintani team, inspiring others with her success. She serves as a positive role model within her dojo, encouraging fellow karateka to improve their skills. She radiates a sense of encouragement, passion, and drives to motivate others to excel. She is highly involved in other sports like rugby and skiing, and it is also top performer academically in her final years in high school. Additionally, her teaching of the youth program showcases her commitment to nurturing the next generation of practitioners. This recipient received her Shodan in 2022 and has been medaling consistently at tournaments across the country and is highly competitive athlete. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Christina Ordash as this year's Female Athlete Awards recipient. This year's male athlete shows up to every event he can make, which is impressive as he is in his first year of university and travels more than 30 minutes to get to classes. His participation in tournaments often sees him with top ranking. At training, he is focused and willing to ask questions. As one nominator wrote, "This person deserves this award for all the times he put into clinics, training, and tournaments, and also because he represents what the SWKKF member should look like. He is a hardworking, kind, and thoughtful." Please join me in congratulating Sensei Brayden Oishi as this year's Male Athlete Awards recipient.
Congratulations to you both. Our third highlight video is from Sensei Ron Matty. Sensei Ron Matty is a 9th Dan and lives in Wainfleet, Ontario with his wife, Joanne. Sensei Matty has a son, Chad, with 2 grandchildren, Brayden and Ariana, and a daughter, Ronnie Kay, who also has a son, Kale, and a daughter, Frankie. All but Frankie, who's only 1 year old, have some rank in martial arts. Sensei Ron was introduced to karate by Sensei Dennis LeBay at 15 when Sensei LeBay was a green belt. He worked out under Sensei Peter Coffey, who ran Sensei Shintani's dojo on Mondays, and under Sensei Shintani on Fridays. All 3 of these instructors have taught him how to move explosively and sidestepping, which he has become proficient at. After Sensei Shintani passed in May of 2000, Sensei Matty became chief instructor. He now travels across North America to visit dojos and run clinics for members of the SWKKF and other affiliated organizations. Sensei Matty also holds a 7th Dan in the Superfoot Wallace system, 9th Dan in the World Traditional Karate Association, 5th Dan in Wado, and 2nd Dan in Kendo. All of these arts have had a tremendous influence on his karate, like Sensei Shintani. Please join me in watching these words from Sensei Ron Matty.
Hi, I'm Ron Matty. I'm the chief instructor for the Shintani Wado Karate Federation. I want to talk about Sensei Shintani, Sensei Peter Chofi, and Sensei Dennis LeBay, who were the 3 people who really inspired me in karate. Obviously, Sensei Shintani, everything he was about, the humility. Peter Chofi was one just like him. They were born on the same day, not the same year, but Peter meant so much to me, still touches me very much. And every time I go on the floor to train, he's there with me, always. I come up with stuff that I know I couldn't come up with. He's the one that's inside of me expressing these things. We really missed a lot from him. Sensei Dennis LeBay introduced me to karate when we were in high school, and we started training together. I enjoyed it. We became best friends. He was a green belt when I started, and Sensei Peter Chofi was a brown belt, just got his black belt at the Welland Dojo. Peter, Dennis, and I always trained with each other trying to help each other beat each other. So if I beat them at a tournament in kata or kumite, I would tell them what they needed to do to beat me and vice versa. And I think that was more Peter Chope who started that kind of atmosphere where he always tried to get us to beat him because he was this supernatural karate guy. And we lost a great master then. But he really tried a lot to get us to beat him. And as soon as we started beating him, uh, then he would get better and beat us again. So that was a sort of an attitude what we always kept in karate. But more than anything else, Peter Chofe was trying to really be friends with everybody. And with all the students, he was that way. He never thought he was above anybody else. And we used to go after karate to his house and have pizza. And Sensei Shintani would come with us. And I remember I was just a Q belt, and the first Atari video game system that ever came out was Pong, like little tennis things and a ball packed like this. And I was playing that with Sensei Shintani. And I felt bad in a way because that wasn't his era. I was a kid, a young punk, and I was playing Pong with him, and obviously I beat him, but that's probably the only thing I'd ever beat him in my life. So, but it was enjoyable doing that, a good memory, and just how he, like I said, it wasn't his generation, but he sort of let himself be in that position where he was vulnerable, and enjoyed whether he won or not didn't mean anything to him. Just the fact that he was doing it with one of the Q belts, I guess. So, and that's how we sort of learned from doing that with our students and other people when we travel. It doesn't matter if they're white belts or not. We all socialize with them. I know some clubs I've been at, they don't socialize with anybody under brown belt or under green belt or anything, but your white belts are such important people. And Sensei always made me feel that way. And so did Peter Chofe and Sensei Dennis LeBay. I remember Peter Chofe, him and I, like, it was very hard being at serious meetings or when Sensei taught sometimes. We'd be just look at the corner of our eye, we'd look at each other and get that look like, uh-oh, and we start to laugh. Those places and times you're somewhere and you just can't stop laughing. There's nothing, you don't know why you're laughing about, and your gut kills you and you're trying not to look at the audience or whatever. And we did that a few times. There was a speaker for the sports council in Niagara, and we were there and the speaker's talking. Peter and I just happened to look at each other and we start laughing like inside, and we're trying to hold ourselves back and people are looking at each other. We felt so bad, but that's just the way him and I were when you weren't supposed to do something is when it kicked in and that. So, but also how we were with our students and how we helped everybody. And a lot of people in this organization right now, remember how your students need you. Remember how it was for you when you needed your instructors and how much time your instructors spent with you over and above the $30 a month that they pay, for anything that they've given you. It's time for you to be there for them on their karate journey. And that's really what keeps this organization going. I just got back from Alberta from a grading, and one of the senior brown belts who just got his black belt said, he says, I took karate to be sporty, active. He says, but I'm well in my 40s now. He says, what keeps people in karate at that age? There's got to be something. And it's not the physical part. Like it's not the punching, kicking, or wanting to beat somebody up or compete in tournaments. What keeps you in karate? He says, it's the people. He says, how the people are, they make you feel so welcome, and nothing to do with being an elite, just being who we are and how kind and compassionate we are with people, and a lot of fun. Laugh, stay out of the politics. You look back at some of the people we don't talk to anymore because of the politics. You look back on how foolish and silly it was. People have that with their families, and it's silly. And, try to really enjoy the people around you. I hope that everybody enjoys their karate. We need to keep this Shintani organization going for as long as we can to let Sensei Shintani's spirit live on for the rest of forever in karate.
Thank you, Sensei Ron. The Contributor Award. An individual who has truly made a difference to the SWKKF through their contributions to committees, governance, policy development, or for financial sustainability within the SWKKF.
This year's recipients' contribution have had an impact on many of our committees. They have worked for the Judging and Training Committee, the Marketing Committee, the Bunkai Committee, and the REACH Committee, though they have not been formally on any of these committees. They have been instrumental in producing many high-quality videos for the SWKKF, and as one nominator mentioned, the true impact of these videos cannot ever be truly measured. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Adam Knowles as this year's Contributor Award recipient.
Congratulations, Sensei Adam. As these award presentations come to a close, I would like to thank Sensei Bruce, Sensei Shelley, and Sensei Ron for sharing their memories of Sensei Shintani and our Wado Kai karate with us. Congratulations to all of our tournament organizers, especially Sensei Rod Phillips, Sensei Ann Righthead, Sensei Tom Foster, Sensei Katrina Marquis, Sensei Brandon Marquis, Sensei Karen Atkinson, and Sensei Jim Atkinson, as well as all of the participants and winners. Thank you, Sensei Dennis, for presenting these REACH Awards to these well-deserving karateka, and thank you to all of you who took the time and effort to acknowledge and enter these nominations. There are so many within our organization who do great things, and I would like to acknowledge those who were also nominated in these categories for their outstanding contribution and hard work. So here's my plug for 2025. Nominate, nominate, nominate. Fill up the categories with our amazing volunteers and acknowledge their contributions, big and small. Finally, I would like to say thank you to Sensei Alice for marketing throughout the year, and Sensei Scott Knowles and Sensei Bernadine Judek, who are our technical producers. Tonight was absolutely wonderful to celebrate all that Sensei Shintani has created in our SWKKF organization. I'm going to pass it over to Sensei Dennis to wrap up with his final words.
We had a great tournament today. Everything went well. Thank you, Sensei Ann and your team. Congratulations again to all recipients. On behalf of the Senate and myself, I would like to thank you, Beverly, and your team on the REACH Committee for today's presentation. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.